back here on the program, the platform, and today we are talking poetry. We are listening to poems or poetry today as a result of the competition, the Bahamas Poetry Competition. And we remain with Jermaine Roll, who is the president of the competition. And we have with us now Anthea Knowles, and Brittany Johnson. Brittany Johnson from the primary division, and Ms. Knowles, who is from the young adult category. And we are going to listen to some of their poetry now. But tell us about yourself. How long have you been involved in writing poetry, Brittany?
For 1 year, but I started writing poetry after I started writing stories.
Okay, you're a storyteller as well?
Yes.
Wow. Which school do you attend?
I attended E.P. Roberts Primary School.
E.P. Roberts. And you graduated from primary school?
Yes, sir.
So you're going to?
St. Augustine's College.
St. Augustine's College. Okay, so they are inheriting a poet.
Yes, sir.
So you're going to excel at SAC, eh?
Yes, sir.
Very good. You passed the exams for SAC?
Yes, sir.
Very good. And Ms. Knowles, you in the young adult category, how long have you been writing?
I would say from primary school, but
truthfully. That's not too long ago.
But truthfully, high school is where I realized I had a talent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which high school was that?
North Long Island High.
North Long Island High? Okay, where is that located?
North Long Island.
No, I know, but which settlement?
It's in Sims.
In Sims?
Yes.
Okay. It's not NGM.
No, NGM is in the south.
In the south, you
Yeah.
in the north, right?
So.
Okay, good. Getting my bearings right with Long Island now. Okay, in Sims, Long Island. And what did you write about?
Domestic violence, but in a different perspective from Mr. Bean.
Okay, and Brittany, what did you do?
I wrote about bullying.
About bullying. Okay, so we're going to hear your poem on bullying first.
Bullying, bullying. When will we stop fighting bullies? Fat, ugly, worthless, and many more are words you usually hear coming out of a bully's mouth. But did you know that the victim isn't fair? I should've, I could've, I would've done something about that day. If only I knew it would have ended up this way, is what they often say. We are just like a gun, where the words are shot right out, not thinking they are like bullets that will penetrate and wound throughout. Bullying has caused so much damage over these numerous years. It has caused depression, anxiety, lies, and even unnecessary tears. So if you're a victim of bullying, speak up and get assistance. People understand what you're going through and will help without resistance.
Very good. And you committed that to memory. How long did it take for you to do that?
Not very long. It took me about 20 minutes.
20 minutes to write it? Wow. And you had to, of course, memorize it.
Yes.
And that took a little while, right?
No.
No?
It's easy for me to remember stuff.
It's easy. You have a photographic memory or something?
Not photographic. When I keep repeating it over and over, I normally get it.
Now, did you have some help in doing that?
Only with the grammar.
Only with the grammar? Who helped you?
My guidance counselor at my school.
Very good. So you were in a competition with how many people?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure. How do you feel with your golden jacket? You won the golden jacket. That must have made you feel good.
Yes.
What did you say when you won?
I said I made it, but I only could thank God for it.
Okay, very good. And you knew that you would win when you entered the competition?
Most likely.
Most likely. So you're going to continue writing?
Yes, sir.
What do you want to be? What do you want your at the end of your high school career and your university career?
I want to be a pediatrician.
You want to be a pediatrician? You are steadfast on that? Because I know some young people who wanted to be physicians and later down they changed their minds, eh? You are going to continue with that ambition, eh?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good. Ms. Knowles,
Yes.
what do you do these days?
Well, I'm a teacher.
Are you?
Yes, I am.
Where do you teach?
I teach at LW Young Junior High School, home of the Golden Eagles,
Oh, okay. What do you teach?
English and literature.
All right. You're a graduate of University of Bahamas?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Awesome.
2016.
2016.
Yes.
And you always wanted to teach?
Not at first, no. I wanted to be a writer, and then it was an actress phase, and then I moved into being a teacher.
You wanted to be a writer?
Yes.
Were you writing all along?
Well, it started off with just me collecting poetry at 1st. My mommy has all of the proof with me just snipping out poetry out of certain books and pasting them into my little black and white book. And then it moved into me just writing in the back of my pages after school, back of my books after school. And I had this dream, moved into writing. I wrote my first book at the age 17, entitled it At 17.
Oh, okay.
And after a while, it just got to a point where I kind of fall out of love with writing. I think it got into, as soon as I moved into teaching, it got where I got a little discouraged. And when I saw the competition, my HOD at LW Young, she encouraged me to be a part of it. Because she was like, you're a good writer, why don't you enter as well? And I'm a teacher, I always tell my kids, if you have the talent, go ahead and do it. But I felt like I was a hypocrite. I'm here telling my kids, here, go and take these opportunities, use your talent, but I'm not doing the same.
Why you felt discouraged in writing?
Because sometimes when you get among certain people who, like a lot of writers, you start to love the way that they write, and then you think the way that you write is mediocre, it's not good enough. So you tend to, so I got a little discouraged. I'm like, I'm not a good writer. I'm just average. So I just was like, okay, I'm done with that. And I just moved into just focusing on being a teacher. But it wasn't until I'm standing there telling these people, kids, hey, use your talent. You're a good writer. You should write, enter competitions. But I'm not doing the same.
People write for various reasons. You can be a storyteller. You could be, of course, a news reporter, a columnist. You were what? You were writing stories? You were telling stories?
I was writing a lot of fiction because fiction. Yeah, it was like one of my favorite genres. I loved stepping outside of reality for me. In fact, that was one of my answers for my teaching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I love stepping out of reality because I feel it was like an escape. Sometimes life can be a little too difficult or it can be overbearing. And it's good to have that escape. And it helps you to come back even stronger and dealing with your own life issues.
You know, one time I interviewed Robert Ludlum. You know the writer?
No, I'm not familiar.
Okay. So who's your favorite writer?
Well, J.K. Rowling. I'm sorry, she's the one that got me into writing, fiction. Yeah. So I am openly a Harry Potter fan.
Oh,
openly.
Harry Potter.
Yes. J.K. Rowling, simply because of her background story. Like, just the fact that she wrote that franchise on a napkin in a cafe, despite everything that she was going through. And I think the fact that she used that as her escape, kind of, I related to it a lot. Like, when life get hard, I would go and read or I would write. So the fact that despite all of the issues that was happening in her life, and she managed to create this amazing world and put it on ink forever and share it with the world. It's amazing.
And became very wealthy.
Yes, and very wealthy of it as well.
Yes. And that drove you to writing fiction because you feel that one of these days you can mimic her and do the same, eh?
Well, I mean, it's not a bad goal.
I agree. Are you working toward it?
Yes, actually, this summer I dedicated to, first correcting my first book, because after writing it, I just put it in the closet and let the dust accumulate on it.
At 17?
At 17. And when I was telling my sister for long, I was like, that's an awful book. It was written when I was young, it's awful. And she actually sent it back to me and was like, read it. And when I read it, I was like, this isn't bad.
Yes.
And it probably wasn't, because at that time I was so passionate about writing that it obviously showed. So I'm working on correcting that and then moving on to finishing off some things I had started but never completed.
Very good. I didn't intend to ask you too many questions about writing, but you seem to be so interested in pursuing this.
Yeah.
We're going to see a book from you very soon, eh?
Yes, hopefully that's the goal. And I'm tired of my family and friends keep saying, when are you going to publish this book?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're waiting for it. And I've also started my book of poetry, which has just been me adding some of my favorite pieces of work. But I just, once again, put it in the closet and let it accumulate, let the dust accumulate. So I'm just there, like, I'm going to get on working on getting that out as well.
So no formal training at all?
No. No. Outside of just my degree and working along with other writers, just over this summer break as well, I just joined a workshop with some people that I met at the University of the Bahamas.
Yes.
So that right there is about it.
There are a number of international workshops, and people hold them around the world, particularly in the United States. And I know some Bahamians who go to these workshops, and perhaps you should try one of those. You know, there's one in Colorado that they have all the time. People who are interested in writing and honing their craft in that area, you know. But let's hear your poetry.
Okay.
You wrote on, again?
Domestic violence.
Domestic violence.
Okay, so it's entitled Masterpiece. Growing up, I was taught in the simplest terms. My body was a temple, envisioned and engraved by the greatest artist, who molded me to his likeness and carved me to his image, stuck jewels into my eyes and diamonds into my crevice, stamped me with gold and marked me with the holy pens of heaven. I was a walking masterpiece, different, perfect, imperfectly beautiful, a goddess enriched by the sun, baked until the melanin was glowing, and I walked with my head held high, as if my creator placed my feet under his sky, to crown me with the stars and moons my mama lived by, nothing short of glorified. It was distinction which stood out to him. My watercolors which splashed out on the page, the acrylic which danced beautifully at the edges. How free my stature appeared to the eyes and showcased to the world as a marvelous feat, a paragon to those with finer taste. To him, I was beautiful, but not enough. I was a sensational art of incomplete, and with a flick of a wrist and curve of his words, I became his project, his canvas, his masterpiece. He layered me, each layer intricately designed to demonstrate his artistic prowess, a Michelangelo of his kind, a Da Vinci in his mind. On my canvas, he wrote words of hate, sputtered anger and disgust as he dipped his brush on his palette. With his hands, he stroked my canvas with purple paint, painted me red with jabs and black with strongly delivered sweeps. And when I was mere mediocrity, he ripped up the plan. He was disgusted with my sun-kissed skin, my glowing essence. So he drenched me in blood with his hands and rolled me up for safe keeps. I encouraged him still, spoke loving words of belief in him to create me into sensation worthy of display. How could I not? He was an artist, I, his muse. Who am I to question his methods of artistry? So he cut me, drowned me in the screams of hurt, began his compression, poked his fingers into the clay of my skin, marked me, set me beneath the flames, hoping I would set into a beautiful composition. He contoured me in, highlighted when he could. But when I shaped into a disgrace, he used her for juxtaposition. Her, she was me before his pen pierced my canvas, before the trials of pointillism trailed my skin, or the sputters of betrayal marked by his brush, when spots and scratches weren't my only aesthetics, or bruises oozed out, before I was just a mere shade of blue, black, purple, the color of me. Stained lips of raw material, tarnished across my face. His work, his masterpiece. And I asked not out of spite or jealousy for him to harden his work, drop me in lacquer, frame me, expose me, place me on display. He signed his name to the bottom, an artist's pride, stored me in his closet of secrets, sealed. And if ever I would share his work with the world, he would open me up and upon my canvas, his paintbrush he'd wield.
Wow, excellent. That's excellent. You read a lot, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you can tell. You have an excellent, you use what I call some beautiful expressions in this piece. We talk about mental gymnastics all the time, you know? And the facility with the language is beautiful here.
It's amazing.
You've been reading from childhood, I'm sure.
Yes, early on.
Yes. And you read widely, don't you?
Yes. Actually, the reading, I think it just stemmed from my mother. She always encouraged us to read, even at like what we would call a storeroom of books. And that's where I would lock myself in as a child, just reading.
And so you were able to manipulate the language. You did it extremely well.
Figurative language is...
Yes?
Yeah, the figurative language was amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Absolutely. And
it was.
that is why you got first.
Yeah,
She got first in the People's Choice Award. She came first. She came second in writing, and she came second overall. So she took home three prizes.
Second overall.
Second overall in the young adult division.
Okay.
Yeah, behind John Byron.
I see.
Yes.
You allowed Bain to outperform you?
Yeah, I mean, Bain has the skills. He has it. Like, he has...
He's a performer.
Yeah, he's a performer.
Yes.
Performing-wise, I was never really comfortable performing my work. I always felt like I never had the voice for it to really present it how it was in my head. So I always like shied away from performing my work.
There are many Black American poets and writers. Who is your favorite?
Ooh.
Tell me, is it Maya Angelou?
Maya Angelou.
Yes, actually, I get, just recently I had posted something and everybody said the first impression that they got of me was Maya Angelou Jr. And I was actually very flattered because she is one of my favorites.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's done
amazing.
some wonderful work. And she, in terms of performing her work, she is
amazing,
remarkable, yes.
Masterful.
Yeah.
You have any favorite poet?
The same as Maya Angelou, because one of her poems, what I read first, was "Why Cannot the Cage Bird Sing?"
Why can't the cage bird sing?
Yeah.
You memorized any of that?
No.
Okay, I know you have a good memory, you see, that's why I asked. Now, Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I remember when you came to me, I got you to read a couple of your poems.
Yes, sir.
But I don't think you...
No, I don't memorize.
You don't memorize them.
No, I don't. I try not to.
You read... Why you try not to?
Because I write so much, it would be taxing. It would be extremely taxing. I have a lot of work, and to memorize that would...
I talked to you, Ms. Knowles, about reading because it is obvious that we are in a country where a whole lot of people do not read. You are an English and literature teacher at your school. What can we do to get people to read more?
Okay, for the 2 years that I've been teaching, what I've noticed is a lot of kids don't relate to a lot of the texts that they're required to read. So I feel as if we could bring more of our Bahamian work into the classroom, where kids can identify with the characters that are in the text or in the poetry, then it'll encourage them to read more. Because a lot of times the texts that they're reading, even though they may seem relatable, it's not in the same context. Like, you would read about an American child, or you'd read about someone from Jamaica or Barbados, but it isn't the same if you're reading about a child or a situation that happens in the Bahamas. Like, especially at my school, a lot of kids, it's not relatable. It's not something that's going on in their lives.
But they read what they see in social media.
Yeah, they do, because social media is interesting.
What they see on these handheld little computers, their cell phones.
Yeah, because those things are interesting to them. It's relatable to them. Things they can connect with it. But it's not that I'm saying to discourage the text that we currently have now. It's just bring more work into the classroom that they can enjoy and relate to. I feel as once you get that one book, like that one book that they enjoy, it'll be easier for you to introduce other texts. Because now they're gonna be like, okay, that book wasn't that bad. So let me try this one that my teacher's saying now, because that one was good. But we're not getting where they're getting the first initial love of reading. They're just reading these books and they're like, why we gotta read them, Miss Knowles? Like, this is boring.
But you read, Brittany, you read Maya Angelou a long time ago, right?
Yes, sir.
And you read in primary school. So it has to do with your interest, right?
Yes, sir.
And you have to be interested in discovering new information and reading about what's happening in the world.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sure you're going to do very well in SAC.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Well, thank you so very much for being here today.
No, thank you for having us.
You need to come back and talk to some more about literature. And thank you, Jermaine Roll. You're doing a wonderful.
Thank you for having us.
You're doing a wonderful job.
I appreciate it.
You should be commended for starting this competition.
Thank you so much. I just was happy that I could have reached out to the entire Bahamas to engage in this competition. Because in the competition, we had 5 different islands competing. We had, other than New Providence, Grand Bahama, we had Cat Island, Eleuthera, as well as Abaco. So it was amazing to get that level of support with this being the initial year. And with YouTube, we got 23,000 views on that channel alone based on these competitors and the videos that they submitted. So the support for the competition is great. I just wish, corporate Bahamas would get behind me and,
Yes, that is difficult to get sometimes,
Yeah.
the level of sponsorship in this country, but hopefully from programs such as this one, people would get an interest in supporting your competition.
Yes.
When are you doing the next one?
The next one is scheduled for February.
Next February?
Yeah,
Okay.
February coming. That would be the launch of the next competition.
Very good.
Like I said, I have some topics in mind.
Very good.
Yes.
Well, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Brittany.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Ms. Knowles.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you for watching and listening to our program, and we hope you enjoyed it. Good evening, everyone.